Hi, I'm Neil, and I'm currently living in Taipei, Taiwan.
Hi, I'm Simon De La Riviere, and I currently live in Stellenbosch, South Africa.
We are twins, and we like to discuss tech topics. We each episode we discuss two topics. I choose one, Simon chooses one, but we keep the topics hidden until we film the show.
And this is Twin Tech Talk.
Oh, so rock
Okay.
paper scissors stone.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. I always win. This is awesome. Okay, so the broad
Yeah.
topic that I'm gonna touch upon, and it's been recently started getting a lot more popular, and
I know what it is.
Yeah, you probably know is Bitcoin, right?
Yep, very much so.
So-
Yes.
So it's the recent to explain what Bitcoin is it's gonna take a bit long, but if you want to go read up on it, just there's a lot of resources on it. But the gist is that Bitcoin is peer-to-peer cryptocurrency in a sense that it's a virtual currency that's not controlled by a centralized identity or institution. And it's got a lot of things going for it, like it's semi-anonymous, and the whole network verifies the transactions, and you can instantly pay people across the world, etc., etc. So go read up on it if you want to know more. The interesting thing that I want to touch upon now is that it's recently again its popularity has surged again after the initial 2011 boom and spectacular bust.
Never
It's
forget.
now-
Never
I've been-
forget.
I've been following the prices this week, and it's been hovering between like $40 and $46 a Bitcoin, which is a lot. It's the highest it was in 2011 was like $32.
Yes,
or
$31,
something.
$32.
And surprisingly, it's been staying like that for the week, so it's quite interesting. But there's obviously a few reasons why is that it got to that point.
Yeah.
And stuff like the Bitcoin block the block reward halved at the end of 2012. A lot of people coming on board to support it, and it's getting in the news again and so forth, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So my question I want to ask now, there's a lot of reasons for why it will succeed, right? Or why it will eventually, as Peter Falkvinge of the Pirate Party says, it will eventually reach 100,000 to $1 million a Bitcoin.
Yes.
I mean, these
That is-
speculations is obviously on the that would be amazing. But I mean,
That would be,
it's his speculation is obviously on the positive side,
Yeah.
and maybe a bit biased because he in 2011 spectacularly in a sense he invested a lot of his money into this
Well, I
ecosystem.
think almost all his savings he invested.
Yeah, apparently something like that. So my question more is rather on the other side. I want you to think about the question I want to ask is, what's the biggest reason why Bitcoin would fail, right? Why it won't reach that point where it eventually will reach and become a massive success, gain mainstream adoption, etc., etc. And if there's not one big reason, maybe other reasons why it would fail. I just think it's an interesting thought exercise about what's the reason for why it would fail, right?
Yeah.
So, to answer my own question first, I think the biggest reason why it would fail or why it would hamper its growth and or eventually force its decline is my biggest reason. I think would be, and it's a bit of a toss-up between two reasons, but I think the main reason would be if governments start clamping down on this, right?
Yes.
And they obviously can't kill it, they can't destroy it, but they can deter people from using it.
Yeah.
I mean, to destroy it would mean to turn off the internet, and that's obviously impossible,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or they don't have a vested interest in turning off the internet. So
Let's hope not.
yeah. So, I mean, in a way, they could start forcing companies through legislation, or whatever, to be held accountable for dealing in bitcoins. So,
Yeah.
like Reddit said when they started supporting it, like, listen, this is an experiment.
Yes,
We're gonna support this because we think it's a cool thing and it works and etc. But I mean, this isn't because they basically put in a disclaimer and said, listen, if the government started doing something about it, we're still gonna hold the company in the best interest and not support it anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest reasons. Before I touch on the next one, I'm curious to hear what's your take on why it would fail.
I think yes, the government one is definitely a big reason, but I think actually the biggest thing would not be any external thing, actually something inherent in Bitcoin itself, and it's two things. I'm not sure yet which one I choose is the most, but one is actually if someone breaks the cryptography. If someone manages to able to hack the cryptography of the Bitcoin, because then there's no point in ever using it. Everything becomes null and void immediately.
But that problem is they use SHA-256, I think.
Yes, SHA-256
for encryption. And apparently, if that happens, that they break SHA-256, which is apparently still very difficult to do.
Yeah.
They can just upgrade the encryption.
They can?
It's built in built into the.
I did not know that. Okay, then I guess but the thing is, even if there is a break in the encryption, even a small bit, even like for 5 minutes, right? It can completely change. You can completely change the whole trust in Bitcoin. Everything can completely.
But I'm pretty sure they can just force a rollback.
Oh, to a previous blockchain. Yes, but the thing is, even valid transactions can happen during a crash or whatever. Do you understand?
That's true. It's not an ideal scenario, and it might damage Bitcoin's reputation as a currency.
Yes, because the main is, like they say in cryptography, we trust. Okay, and if that trust is not there anymore, why do you want to invest your money if there's a potential that it might be broken again? Do you understand what I mean? Once trust is lost in cryptography, it doesn't.
Okay.
Then the second thing, which is more of a usability kind of thing, is the blockchain and how big it's getting to actually start using it.
It took me a week to download the whole thing. It's like 5 gig.
With the new, I won't say official client, because it's not supposed to be official, but the main client that you get from Bitcoin.org has updated the way that they handle the file I/O, because that's the biggest thing that happens. Well, you have to download quite a bit of the blockchain, which apparently now it's almost like 1.5 gigs that you have to download.
No, I think it's more than that.
Even more than that. But besides the actual data that you have to download, that's not actually the thing that takes them out. The big thing is actually the file I/O that happens, and that's why it takes so slow. But they've recently updated it in the latest version, which goes a lot quicker than it did before. But if that's not something that people focus on, to try and focus on the first user case, the first user using the program or using Bitcoin, that thing will be what impacts the mainstream adoption. Because first,
like I say, if someone's going to start using it and they're going to go, Bitcoin is this new thing where you can send money across the world in like 2 minutes, instantly verified by blah blah blah, and it takes several hours
2 days
to start.
2 days to start.
It's like, not mainstream.
Yes, exactly. But
as far as I know, there are certain ways in which people are solving this.
Yes, through online wallets. Online wallets can.
Online wallets. And the other thing is like stuff like Multibit, is the client that also improved the processing of the blockchain by.
But that's yes. I don't think it's a big issue, but it's something that I noticed myself when using it. Is just that's not user friendly at all.
To us, we understand the reason why you should download the blockchain, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, trying to explain to someone using it at first, like, are you just gonna explain it as in it's got a large install time?
Yeah,
it's not ideal. That's not ideal. I understand, but I don't think that's something that would destroy it, as in let it fail.
Yeah.
It's just something that will hamper its growth.
Yes, it hampers its growth, I think. It's not. It hasn't come to that point yet where mainstream adoption goes. But why do I have to do this? It's still very much in a sort of very technology focused area. So people that adopt it
Yeah.
are still okay. Well, this is fine. I don't mind. But I can see that
Yeah.
becoming a hurdle if they don't change it. But people will probably change it. So yes, those are the block usability in terms of that sense, and then obviously in cryptography, I think that's one of the
I
biggest.
think the other thing I want to touch on, and I think this is probably we need an economist on board to give us some input. I've spoken to my friend Frederick, as you know, sits next to me in the lab. We spoke about this a lot, and one of the inherent hurdles in this kind of currency, which is deflationary, right, is that it's more beneficial to hoard bitcoins than to spend it, right? So it's for now, right? So the value of having a quick, easy way to transfer money should be more than the benefit of keeping it, right?
Yep.
So, or relying on fiat currencies as a way to exchange, right?
Yeah.
So it inherently brings about liquidity retardation, right? So it's not going to be, for now, it's still growing, right? So at the point where it becomes a more stable economy, I mean, it's really difficult for people to trade in bitcoins when the prices to the dollar changes a lot, right? They can dynamically change the prices, stuff like Bitcoinit and whatever, this new online exchange where you can buy in bitcoins, whatever. They obviously adjust the prices based on the market value, the Bitcoin value, right? So I mean, it's not a big problem, but I mean, it's still pricing value of a Bitcoin is still tied to the US dollar.
Yes,
right?
no, definitely, yeah.
So, I mean, but I think that can be a problem, but I mean, it should be very interesting to see because this is probably one of the most exciting economic case studies happening.
Yes, in front of our eyes.
Right?
In front of our eyes, yes.
In front of our eyes, it's happening. I mean, no one actually knows what's going to happen, and to some people, it's still a surprise that it's happening as it is. Maybe in a few years' time, we'll look back and go, 2020 vision, of course. This was supposed to happen.
But
now in this moment,
it's really exciting.
It really feels like to me. It really feels to me like this is something very big happening, and only the few people actually know what it is and understand it. It feels like the beginning. You know, I always want to be at the beginning of something great, and then it's like, oh damn, I wasn't alive when the internet, or I wasn't old enough when the internet started. But now I understand and use bitcoins now, and it feels exciting in a way that in that
thing
way.
Is, so I definitely agree with you in that sense of hoarding bitcoins and not spending it, because at the moment I think the value is just climbing way too fast to actually use it to buy something. And the thing at the moment is I'm not getting it still feels more like a commodity at the moment, more than actual currency, because how am I going to receive bitcoins besides buying them? Obviously mining, but I don't have the money and the time to do mining. So if I started receiving bitcoins for doing jobs, for doing any other way that you normally receive money, obviously to do jobs or whatever, if I receive bitcoins, then I will start spending them. But at the moment, I'm not receiving bitcoin any other way. So that's where.
I think that touching on that point. I mean, I read now before we started the thing, other people's reasons why it would fail, and one of the biggest things that still needs to happen in this Bitcoin economy is that everything needs to take place in the economy so that people using it everyone will benefit from it, using it as a currency. It shouldn't. If there's a complete supply chain happening in Bitcoin where people start paying for people for this so they can build that, so they can make that, and then sell it eventually, all in Bitcoin. That's the point where it would be economically viable to stay in that economy as a currency, and then its value will not be tied anymore to the US dollar.
And I think that's a hurdle that still needs to happen. It's happening. There was an article recently about people requesting to be paid their salaries in Bitcoin and stuff like that, I mean, it is happening, but it's still part of the adoption.
So those people getting their salaries in Bitcoin can go like, okay, well, I received my salaries in Bitcoin. I can obviously cash out and get the dollar value and then buy on Amazon. But now you can do I don't remember the name of the site. Bitcoin Spend or something. I can't remember. So you can pay them to pay the equivalent
on Amazon. Yeah.
On Amazon, and then they deliver it, right? So I mean, why would then you move out of the Bitcoin economy? You can just stay in.
Exactly, and that's what you want to happen.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting to think about reasons why we fail, because I think a lot of people, especially like the people starting the adoption of it, they want it to succeed. So they like you. So they'll obviously talk about it succeeding to create that value, so that other people adopt it as well, so that the thing succeeds. So interesting.
I hope it will. It's awesome. It's great. Anyway.